begin your first garden toolkit. There is a lot of advice out there on the internet and a lot of influencers and a lot of brands trying to sell you gardening equipment that frankly you just don't need. So I'm going to share with you here the tools that you do need and those which you shouldn't bother spending your money on. From the perspective of a busy working mum who gets, if she's lucky, 20 minutes a day to garden, because it's the way that I quell my anxiety, it's the way that I quiet my mind, and it's the way that I manage to do life without getting completely overwhelmed constantly. So say hi in the chat if you're able to. This is very much an interactive live video, so please do ask questions, put your thoughts in the chat. I really want to know what you're thinking. So welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Kendall Marie Platt. I'm a horticultural therapist and a space holder for garden curious women who are burned out from holding it all and ready to find a place to exhale. Well done. You found it. This, alongside your garden, is the place where we are going to learn to do that. So I specialize in therapy-led gardening that reconnects you to your body, your space, and your sense of self. One session, one season, one breath at a time. Okay. So everything I share here is about getting you in the garden in those small pockets of time that, you know, as busy women, we manage to carve out for ourselves, because my belief is that gardening is the antidote to burnout. And I believe that, the way we solve the mental health crisis in the world, let's be really honest, not just the UK, is to get more people in their gardens. And I help you to do that in a really simple, bite-sized ways. So let's get cracking, shall we? Tools that you do need. Actually, let me just say hi to a few people that I've noticed in the comments. Hi, Gail. Nice to see you. I'm guessing because you haven't said hello, I've still got this issue with Substack not allowing people to comment on my lives, which is so annoying. I think it says something about you have to upgrade in order to comment, which is bloody irritating. I have raised a ticket, but hey, if you have any questions after this, feel free to DM them to me and I will absolutely 100% answer them. But if you are able to comment, then please do so. Right, tools you do need. Hi, who else is there? Beyond the Nutcracker. That sounds exciting. Claire Collis and Susanna Davis. Welcome, ladies. Lovely to see you here. Right, let's get going, shall we? Tools you do need. First of all, trowel. I love a trowel. Some people use a garden fork. For me, it's all about trowel, and that is not just because I studied forensic archaeology and have a bit of an affinity for trowels. I just really like how they feel in the hand. I like, just the shape of them. Garden forks just irritate the crap out of me, actually, because I feel like things just slip through the spines. So I'm a trowel girl, but I would advise going to the garden centre, trying a few on for size, just like you do in the changing rooms. Give it a bit of a go. One thing I would say for you though, choose a wooden handled one. If you choose a plastic handle, and I learned this because my husband was an archaeologist and we actually met on our forensic archaeology masters. But if you use a plastic handle, when you dig, the plastic handle really reverberates if you hit like a stone or something hard, if the soil's hard, and it's really uncomfortable. But if you use a wooden handled one, the wood, good old natural materials, absorb some of that impact, and so it's not quite so doesn't put quite so much strain on your your art. So go for wooden handled if you can. One thing I would say though, actually no, I'm going to talk about that in a minute when it comes to the secateurs. But one thing I will point out now is this is a normal trowel. This is a bulb trowel. I don't know if you can see on here. It's got graduations. Now this is a bloody ancient one. I think it might have been my grandpa's. So it's actually got one set of measurements for centimeters and one set of measurements for inches. I'm a centimeters girl myself. Don't know what your vibe is on that, but do let me know. But yeah, if you've only got the budget for one trowel, you can get some really good ones that are kind of like a hybrid of these two. So they look like this, maybe with a sharp edge on, but they've got the measurements as well. So they're really good for knowing the planting depths for bulbs and plants when you're digging. You don't have to get it. So if you've only got the budget for one, I would choose one that does a bit of both. Right, I have got notes here because otherwise ADHD, I'm going to go off in mad tangents. So the next thing that you need then is a garden kneeler. I have this rather beautiful one. I don't think it was that expensive. I I think I got it for a birthday present. I love the bright colours on it. The reason you need a garden kneeler is because as women, as I alluded to in the top, we're lucky if we get 20 minutes to ourselves to get in the garden, eh? Who's got the bloody time to change their clothes? Not me. And I like my clothes. I like wearing like nice outfit that I feel good in. I love bright colours. I don't want to have to like spend 5 or 10 minutes getting changed into my gardening clothes to get out in the garden. So you need a garden kneeler because you can kneel on it when you're doing whatever you're doing in the garden and you're not going to get mucky. But let's be really honest, even if you do get a bit mucky, we all own a washing machine, don't we? Most of us anyway. And if we don't, we can give things a good old scrub. So let's kind of start to unpick a bit of that conditioning, which I'm sure it comes from being kids and being told, oh, don't get messy. Bugger that. You're not going to get that messy. And if you do, things can go in the washing machine anyway. Right. Let's have a little look here. Next thing, secateurs. Definitely need some secateurs. We all love a little bit of pruning the anxieties away, do we not? That's one of my horticultural therapy activities, actually, that I'm currently writing about in my book. So secateurs, you will need a pair of secateurs because things grow in a garden and you need to cut them back. It's that simple, really. These ones are Niwaki, which is a really nice Japanese brand, quite expensive. Again, got them as a gift. And the thing I like best about them is that they're brightly coloured on the handles, because when I invariably leave them in the garden when I get distracted by something else, I can find them again. There is another really lovely brand, or a lovely fluorescent range by Bergen and Ball. They're slightly better value, not better value because these are great value, but slightly cheaper if you are new to the whole gardening thing and you're like, I'm not sure that I want to. Oh, there goes my washing. I'm not sure that I want to invest 75 quid in a pair of secateurs. Absolutely get that. So have a look online for those. They're like bright fluorescent and they do like hot pinks and yellows. Kind of feel like I need to get myself some more, actually. I had a pair years ago, and then I wore them to death, and then I moved on to these. Another, the fact that they're bright is just really ideal for if you're really busy and you get easily distracted. If you've got ADHD like me, or you've just got a lot going on in your brain, and your attention gets pulled. You've maybe got small kids or just a busy job, lots going on. The other brand I want to mention quickly is Felco. Now, the colours are not so jazzy, but I think they're about 45 quid for a pair, and you can send them off every year and they'll service them for you, which from a time saving perspective is pretty good. Not that it takes that long to like sharpen and clean your secateurs. You should do that once a year if you want to keep them in good nick and cutting well. But I quite like that you can send them off and they'll do it for you. So that's a really good option as well. What are we on to now? Watering can. Got to be done. Mainly because I think really we should be saving water where we can rather than just using it straight out of the hose. So I probably should have added in a water butt in there as well, but I'm going to just stick to the main thing. So this is my watering can. Again, I've upgraded over the years. I started with one of those plastic ones from the garden centre, cost about tenner. Great. But I found over time they started to go brittle in the sun because I never bloody put them away. And that just annoyed me, and I just felt like I was buying plastic and that wasn't great for the environment. So I upgraded to this one, which my kids got me for a birthday present. And the reason I didn't mind putting this on the list, even though it was expensive, was because I figured I'd pass it on to my kids. Like, they're so well made and they're kind of designed to last forever, really. So I'm going to pass it on to my kids. Slightly strange heirloom, but yeah, I think pretty good. The reason you need one of these is they're really good for a post-work watering session. Like when you just had like a really full-on meeting, or just a really busy day, and you finally maybe finish work, or you've finally maybe got the kids down, you're like, right, just going to go out in the garden and water. Fill this up with water, ideally from your water butt, and just give it a good old, if you use the rose as well on it, it gives that's this little bit, which obviously you can pull off. But if you use that, it just gives that really kind of nice, like, tinkling sound, which is so calming and relaxing. If you can really allow yourself to tune in to that, the tinkling as you water, that is just such a lovely way to stay in that present moment. What have I got here? Oh, another really nice activity that you can do in the summer when it's really, really hot. When you're watering, if you use a watering can, I find you get better petrichor. Now, petrichor is that smell that you get after it's been really, really hot and then it rains. You know that like smell of the rain? It's called petrichor. And a watering can is really, really effective at creating that lovely petrichor smell. Um, so yeah, it's lovely. Another way to really calm your nervous system. Let me see what I've written here. I think I've said all about that. Good. Right. I've only got a couple more of must-haves, and then I've got a couple of don't bother and waste your money. Gloves to protect your nails. I like having my nails done. I know not everybody does, but even if you don't have your nails done, gardening can be pretty hard wearing on nails, can't it? So I don't always wear gloves. I'll be really honest. Sometimes I like to feel the soil on my hands. And as we know, there is a lovely bacteria called Mycobacterium vacui, which actually raises when it gets into your blood through contact with soil. When it gets into your body, it raises serotonin levels in your body. So I don't always use gloves, like I said, but sometimes I do, especially if I'm doing something really mucky or I just want to protect my nails. I really like these ones by Feverfew. They're a brand specifically designed for women, and to be honest, that's like completely my bag. So yeah, I tried them for the first time this year and I really like them. I have found historically that gardening gloves aren't really designed for women's hands. They're either like I've got quite big hands, but they're quite skinny. And these ones, you actually take a measurement of your hand to make sure you get the right one. Whereas when you buy them in the garden centre, they're literally like small, medium, or large. And for me, I always had to go for like the bigger sizes so I could get the length, but then they were all just like baggy. And I found doing things like seed sowing or any sort of little detailed tasks really annoying with the kind of unsized ones from the garden centre. They are a bit more pricey, of course, but actually for me, I think it's worth it. I use them a lot. And I think they're going to last really, really well. So, but you know, obviously you can go and pick up a few pairs for a few quid in the garden centre as well. The last tool then I want to talk about is a spade. Um, if I'm really honest, if you're just getting started, I don't know that you'd need one of these straight away, but they are because you can dig holes for planting things with a hand trowel. And actually, I still do that. I kind of prefer that. But if you are digging a big hole for like a tree or something, a spade is a really good option. They are also really useful for spreading like mulch or compost, moving your compost out of your bins and across your beds as well. So this is the one that I've got here. It's nothing fancy. It's just a spade. One thing I will just point out though is there is a difference between a spade and a shovel. Can you see here how that's like quite a flat profile? So this is a spade. If it was a shovel, it would be more curved up at the edges. You'd have kind of like almost not a U shape, but it certainly would be way more curved than this. So that's the difference. Shovels are really good for, as you'd imagine, shoveling compost. But not so good for digging holes because you kind of want that sharp flat edge like a blade, like you get on the spade to dig the holes. So if you've only got budget for one, get a spade, leave the shovel for birthdays in a few years to come when someone's like, "What do you want for your birthday?" I'm like, "Could do with a shovel." Okay, it's not something that you need from the get go. A little tip for you here is to keep all your tools together in the same place so you can always find them. I call this like my garden go box. I spoke about this in the spring challenge that I did in Seed earlier in March. And basically I keep like a bucket that I use to throw my weeds into, and my gloves in there. I keep my trowel in there. I keep my secateurs in there, and I keep my kneeler in there. So I know where they are at all times. So when I finally get my 20 minutes, my 10 or 20 minutes in the garden that I've carved out for myself. I go straight outside. I know where everything is. I don't waste 10 minutes looking for the bloody tools, by which point I've got to get back on with work or somebody needs me. So this is a really good way to keep everything that you need together. Right. Has anybody got any questions at all? I'm guessing I'm still having this issue where because nobody said hi to me, and I know you're all watching, so I'm guessing I'm still going to have to go and beat Substack up again, aren't I, to get them to do something. Joy. But all that to say is, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and leave a comment, whether you're joining us live or watching on the replay. So it just really helps me out in terms of getting this content seen, getting Adventures with Flowers TV out there to more women that need it, so they can get in their gardens without feeling guilty, as a way to resource themselves and calm their nervous system. So please do that. If you can't do it live, please do it on the replay. That would be so helpful. Thank you so much. Right, tools you don't need then. Definitely got these in a stocking one year. A dibber. Why do you need that? Basically your finger, right? Yeah, I suppose it's quite helpful that it's got like 1 centimetre, 2 centimetres, 3 centimetres, but don't waste your money. You really don't need that. You can just use your finger. Okay. The next thing is this like slightly, I suppose, quite handy little tool to pot your plants on. It's quite useful to go like down into the seed trays, hoik it up so you can pot it on into a bigger pot. But if I'm really honest, you can just use an old teaspoon. So I wouldn't worry too much about one of those either. And then the last thing, I was kind of hoping you guys would bring, you'd be able to comment and bring some tools to the table and ask me if you needed them or not. But you can absolutely do that in the comments afterwards. That would be very useful. So the last tool then that I'm going to talk about is those bizarre weed extractor tools that I think like get demoed on like QVC, or just like when we had ads on the TV, although they're coming back, aren't they? When there'd be like a demo of like a dandelion tool that you could like get the weed and then like fire it across the garden. I mean, what the fuck? Literally, you don't need that. That is an utter waste of money. If someone wants to get you one because they think it'll be fun and the kids will want to play with it, crack on. But from my experience, they were quite expensive and actually shite. So just use a trowel or your garden fork, whatever you're choosing. So that is everything from me. It's actually been quite a quick one today, but I think that's because I haven't been able to chat with you guys, which is bloody annoying. Anyway, fingers crossed Substack pull their finger out their arse and get it sorted today. If you want to come and get gardening in community with us as the antidote to burnout, then come and join the seed. Because hell, we all need a bit of accountability while we learn new habits, don't we? And we deserve to give ourselves these lovely new habits. So come and do that in community. We have garden along sessions twice a month where you can come. I'll share some therapeutic techniques with you at the start. We'll get some gardening things ticked off your list. We'll come together, we garden for 20 minutes, then we come together and chat about what came up for us. Sometimes like big things come up. Sometimes there's big emotions that come up, and that is okay. This is a therapeutic gardening session, but online from wherever you are in the world, because the current therapeutic gardening model doesn't work for busy women. And I am on a mission to change it so that actually we can all access it as and when we need to from our own gardens, because I believe that having a garden that holds you and feels like your true garden sanctuary is something that all women deserve. It's something that many of us have the ability to create, and it doesn't need to take hours. You can do it in just 20 minutes a day. So all that to say is I will be back next week with another episode. Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye.